All right, well, why don't we move on here and talk a little bit about the Hearthstone Championship Tour. So the European prelims happened this past week, and Zalae, you just mentioned that you're going to be playing in the NA prelims this coming
Yep.
weekend.
Yep.
So let's talk about how the EU one went. Anything that really stood out to you guys? I mean, we didn't see any of the new cards, which was a big bummer, at least from my standpoint as a
Yeah, they
viewer.
weren't allowed.
Yeah.
For the NA prelims, the first week is allowed.
Okay, the first week is loud. Okay, so this will
Yeah,
this week will be a lot
Yeah.
more interesting. But
Maybe.
yeah, any
maybe.
well, yeah, we'll see
I
at
mean, I
least
guess
some.
some
Hopefully,
portal,
maybe.
some macro shaman list. I know some
Yeah,
people were running it recently, so
yeah. But I don't know. Anything worth mentioning, like with what you guys saw at the EU prelims?
lots of all-ins on questionable. Can I top deck this? A
Right.
lot, a
There
lot,
were
a
a lot.
lot, a
There were a
lot, a
lot.
lot,
There was a
a
lot of
lot.
yeah. There was a lot of commentary on just the play, right? Like a lot of people were questioning some of the plays, and
Yeah.
but these are some of the best players that we have in Hearthstone. So I'm always really reluctant on questioning them
I
because
mean,
they
dude, like the decks, the meta game is very volatile. Like Zeus Shaman, I mean, you don't know what's gonna happen playing those decks. It's when the field's so like stacked with players who have way above average. The best don't always win. Like those decks are pretty volatile.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the tournament was pretty disappointing. Just the timing of it was so poor. If they had just timed, if they'd somehow managed to plan it out so that, this big tournament that Blizzard's spending a bunch of money on to promote their
yeah.
game also promoted the new set, I think it'd be better for everyone. Like, don't viewers want to see us playing with the new cards? Don't players want to play with the new cards? Doesn't Blizzard benefit from spending this money promoting a tournament that promotes their new cards instead of a format we've been seeing for months already? So I was just
Well,
really disappointed with the tournament.
I
And
think
also, like,
I was gonna say like a comment on that. Like I think the reason they did that was just to protect integrity of the people that are that got into the prelims and just given that I don't know, just like day of it coming out. I mean, I'm just being devil's advocate here because I agree with you too. Like I wish I would have seen all the new ones, but I can't think of any other reason why they wouldn't do it. Right? Like so that's about the
I
only
thought it was
thing.
like a planning ahead thing. Like they have to pick the dates far in advance, and then maybe they didn't finish Karazhan as soon as they wanted to
Oh,
put it out
okay. So
in
you think
time.
the release was just not just at a
I don't know
different
what their
date?
reasoning is. I think it was just such a bad decision. It's hard for me to understand.
Well, deck
So
submissions as
basic.
well. Like sometimes that's one of
Yeah.
those things that's kind of difficult for players. Is if you want to submit your decks like really early,
Yeah.
then does everybody get a like a last chance? And what about those guys that already dedicated time to deck building that they happen to not be able to revisit those submissions? Blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of clean for it to like for them to allow at least a first wing for the NA prelims. I can understand the reasoning behind the EU ones. It's just the timing of the release is so poor for that. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's the
The
day
Yeah.
show,
before, like literally, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so.
But it's
I
kind of
think day
okay.
before is exciting. It's like, all right, let's see how good you are at evaluating these
They've done
cards.
that before, right? Like they've done
It
it
could
before.
be it could be
Then
scary if there is
was
like a card
changed.
that's ridiculously good, and only like a couple players figure it out. I don't know. Is that what we
I think
want
it's a, I
then?
think
Is
it's
that what we want
I
it to
think
be?
that's a cool kind of skill test as
Hmm?
compared to currently, which is like, well, we've played with these for months. We all know what we're doing. Let's uh,
It's just see who
let's see who
plays
high
better.
rolls this curve better.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
Scarter time to get a totem golem. Gotcha. I don't know. I'd
Okay,
like to
fair
see who
enough.
can figure out what the best new deck is on very little time in practice. I think
Well, I'm
that's really
gonna
cool.
tell you, when Barnes gets released, Priest is the best because they Shadow Madness your shit, and you want to literally gouge your eyes out, and they get good Onyx Bishop and Resurrects out of their Barnes, and you win.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah, the
how
dreams,
the dream
baby. The
happens.
dreams. Shadow Madness gets actual value.
Oh God, who am I
Yes.
kidding?
Yes.
Uh,
No, that
See,
will be
Shadow Man
true.
is a good card. I actually liked that card last time I was playing Priest. I didn't
Yeah,
like
I've been
Priest,
playing
but
it
Shadow
recently.
Mana seemed good.
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think it's good for kind of the same reason Shadow or Pain is good, right? There's just so many targets
Sure.
for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many targets at 3 or less attack, which got that new dragon coming up, not this week, but soon enough in a
Which one?
couple
Which
weeks.
dragon?
It's a 6 mana 3/6 battle cry. If you have a dragon in hand, it destroys a minion with 3 or less attack. So
Ugh, you
it's
like
like,
that card?
oh yeah, I'm excited
Yeah.
because Man, well, first of all, I like dragon decks. I'm a bit of a Kibler fanboy in that respect, I guess. So it's sort of like 4 mana for a 3/6 and 2 mana for a Shadow Word Pain.
I think it's
One of the big things about this card is it's a dragon itself, and that's always a struggle when you're building dragon decks, right? You need something that says dragon at the bottom of the card, and there's so few options that are like playable. It sucks.
Right. That's true too. Yeah.
And like you try and build Control Dragon Warrior, and they're like, no, these just aren't playable. I can't play these cards in my deck. I can't. And so this gives you one more card that says dragon, and I think is playable, and also for Control Priest. And, you know, casting Shadow Pain is a really powerful effect, is the point I was making. So Bookworm, I'm a little bit hyped. I don't think it's the strongest card, but it could enable a bunch of cool dragon decks. And also Paladin in particular, it's at its best with, because the Shadow Word Pain goes well with Aldor Peacekeeper and Keeper of Ultimate.
Oh, yeah,
maybe
true. There is a combo ability with that. That's true.
Yeah.
I really think Bookworm is, like, when it initially was spoiled, which I think it was one of the first few ones, one of my big fears is that it would actually smother a lot of the, like, if Shadow Word Pain and Shadow Madness and Cabal Shadow Priest didn't smother like low attack minions, I think that's one that could do it, because you can combine it with every single class. I mean, Humility and Pally is like, if you happen to play like Consort on 5 and you get like a cheaper Bookworm and you have Humility plus leftover mana, I mean, what the fuck? It is really tough to handle. If you think Kodo's bad, if you think Humility Kodo's bad, that one is really good.
It's basically another code. Yeah.
No, but it's much better than a Kodo, because it enables your Templar, which is suddenly a card you want to play. That card seemed insane to me, the Bookworm, but maybe it's not as good as I expect. Who knows?
I'm not as high on it, but definitely those plays that you're talking about are going to be definitely solid for something like a Control Pally. We'll see. We'll have to see that. We'll have to come back in like a couple weeks or a few weeks and talk about that card.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. Yeah, well, anyways, good luck this week at NA Prelims.
Thanks.
I'm excited to see what you bring here. Bring some Value Town decks to it.
Zoo,
that would be hilarious.
Shaman,
Yeah.
Warrior,
Yes.
Druid.
Oh,
Yes, that's what I'm bringing. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But there's a Maelstrom portal, right? Is that what you mentioned?
No, I've got 0 new cards in my lineup. It's sad. Right.
Okay,
So
I
you
love
are
you
basically
anyway.
playing
Hopefully
basically
somebody with
EU
sweet new
prelims.
decks just crushes me. Yes, I'm playing EU prelims.
Oh
decks.
my gosh. All right.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Not like this.
It's all good. All right, let's do some Mekkatorque Workshop here. All right, so those of you not familiar with Mekkatorque, this is it's become a regular segment that we do, where we come up with some new cards. We use hearthcards.net, and we just put together some cards and talk about it. So I think Noxious and I came up with one that actually has a few pieces to it, and Noxious has 3 of them, or 2 of them. So why don't we bring up mine first? And this one's very, very conceptual, guys. So it's not something that like we could add to the game right this second, but I think it's always good. It's just good to have concepts. And anyway, so this is called it's called Totem of Magic, and obviously Shaman card, Totem, right? Of course. And it's a 2/2 body. Discover a totem resistance, and the totem of resistance are down below. And so we got fire, water, and lightning. And the whole point of this is to really reduce damage from spells or even just attacks, like I don't know, a fire elemental or whatnot. So of course the game is not built for this yet. There is no concept of fire damage and water damage and lightning damage. But I think it would be a cool thing we did. We touched a little bit on just like mages having maybe an arcane line and a like a water line and a fire line type of just having those type of builds. And it kind of just got me thinking that we should just go the next step with just the cards themselves too, and just giving them the ability. It doesn't have to be maybe it doesn't have to be stated on the cards. Maybe it's just something that I don't know. We just kind of know innately that.
No,
lightning,
you wouldn't know it.
You put an icon.
I've gone.
You put an
I've
icon.
gone
There you
through
go. You put an
this
icon.
You have a little
1,000
picture of a
times.
water or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to literally have a Pokemon symbol on your stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
And
you
I like
have
this. This is a
to.
cool idea.
yeah.
They have this kind of stuff in World of Warcraft. Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, given the fact that you can discover one, it allows you to be able to play this in multiple matchups too. So obviously you'd want to do lightning against shaman. You'd want to do, water against.
Let's tech against freeze mage.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's the thing though, is like, it's you have to go to do so much, because if you want to be true to WoW, then suddenly you just like lightning and water are the exact they're like nature damage.
Oh, is it?
Whereas
Okay.
if you look, yeah, but like what I mean is, if you want to go like the WoW way, you have to bundle together a lot of stuff that looks different in our experience. And if you want to go ice damage, that's another thing. Like frost damage is actually a thing, so you'd be able to bundle those together. The only thing is the game's not built for it. I would love, and I've already theorycrafted stuff like this before. Like I've thought about having like spells have tags, but the depth you add to the game, I mean, rather not even the depth, the complexity that you add with this is something Blizzard just hasn't been comfortable with ever. Because the problem is you suddenly every single spell has this extra label on it, and it interacts with a dozen, a good 100 other things that also refer to different labels. I'm fine with Frostbolt, interacting with your totem, or with something like Ice Lance. Ice Lance and Frostbolt are kind of that kind of synergy you're talking about, which is effect, freezing or frost, and interact with it. This is very broad because you're not even interacting directly with a freeze, which is visible and visually understandable by players, but it's really just the type of the spell. So you have to learn all the types, their icons, right? You have to learn the icons, and there could be a good, like a really huge amount of those if you went deep in the theme. So I love the idea.
Of course. I mean, it requires obviously design work from the standpoint of the existing game itself. But, again, it's just what we do in Mekkatorque, just throw out concepts and throw out, just new cards too. So I figured I'd throw that out. Zalae, any comments?
No, I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool. It's super hard to implement.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could
like everything, right?
We could probably implement something that's just reduce just damage from spells by 50% or something like that.
There you go. That's easy.
I think like if you label spells with elements, that's easier. Because if you start having to do that with minions, then you're never done. But if you literally just produce the damage that spells do, you could literally label every damage spell with a certain effect, like physical damage, lightning, whatever it is. Like that can be done, I think, more than minions. Like minions have so much going on.
Right.
Or how about just inverse spell damage? Just like your opponent has their spells just deal 1 less damage.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be an interesting totem.
That'd definitely be cool. Yeah, more totems, please, man. Definitely. Okay.
Totems that don't roar when they come on the board from Tuskar to 10.
Yes,
like
something.
a heart attack. But if I hear like, did you bring some fish? I'm just like gonna flip a fucking table. That sound, like the sequence of these sounds together, just
it's not good.
Dude, it's the scariest thing.
Rage.
Doesn't make
I
any
sometimes
sense
alt tab at a
sometimes,
Hearthstone and I hear that in the background. I just alt F4 the app without even looking at it.
Okay. Well, all right. Let's talk about one of your cards here, which is Crippling Poison. Let me turn these off here.
Yeah, I like the idea of I like the idea of discovering like 3 set things as well, which I think is really
it just
cool.
gives it flexibility instead of having it only be good for these matchups and not the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so Crippling Poison. This is a 1 mana spell. Give your weapon +1 attack, and your hero is immune while attacking.
Smart.
Okay.
So the idea is that you can actually trade into minions without dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
So you literally buff your weapon by less than deadly. So you can only kill 2 health minions or 3 2s, but you often overkill with deadly. So I thought this has its room. You can't kill something like Trog with it. You can stack it with deadly, which suddenly means that you end up with a really big weapon. You're encouraged to play Assassin's Blade because suddenly you don't die on the back of having a high durability weapon. So the idea really just is give rogues a way to not die when they're removing stuff with their weapons, and maybe then that can be used as a tempo tool that also bundles in survivability, which I think you can't give rogues just a healing tool, as it wouldn't be enough. You have to give them, because it takes a card slot that they often can't afford, and when you bundle
rogue
it
healing
with
is
removal,
off-theme.
exactly right. Like you have to have a way for them to mitigate damage without it being pure healing. I think this is cool.
I like it. It's cool.
Yeah. Where did you
could
find
also-
that artwork, man? That looks cool, dude. I had the
It's
hardest
found in the
time-
WoW TCG art. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
What if we're like -1 attack, but you also draw a card?
So like you're immune
It's
while
not
attacking
good
the
on a
cycle?
neutral dagger, but if you have some kind of weapon,
Sure, I'm cool with that. Honestly, like the idea I had initially was immune while attacking cycle, but I thought a 1-mana cycle in Rogue is kind of a sketchy thing to
dangerous.
add.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It was hard to say. I'm just kind of because you might just run it, not even for the effect, right? Just for the cycle. And if
Right.
I think it's
Yeah, they don't
scarier
want
in
that.
Rogue than it is in Priest. So
It's for
you
sure.
could have made Purify 1, but I don't think you can make Crippling 1 mana with a draw.
No, you're right. You're right.
Okay, so he's got one more card. So before we get to the next card, I did want to give a shout out to some of the folks that listen to Value Town on iTunes for leaving a 5-star rating. Little Dad Hands. It's a cool name. And Mr. Samoz, thanks for those. Thanks for the 5-star ratings. It really helps the show a lot. And if you guys, anybody out there too that listens and wants to help out Value Town, be sure to go and leave a rating, 5-star rating preferably. That'd be great. And it just helps with people discovering Value Town on the iTunes podcast store. Okay, and moving on to the next one, Mass Hysteria. Okay, so this one is, let me bring it up.
Priest card.
Yes,
it's actually
not like there hasn't been enough Priest cards recently.
Yeah, but this one is probably, I've never really seen anyone make something like this, and I came up with it because I was thinking about a way to make Priest not come down to playing for tempo. You know how you have like they want us to play, Priest of the Feast, a 3-drop and a 2-drop. This is a 2-cost spell, or you choose a minion, and all minions of the same type now cost 1 more to play. So if you target a beast, all beasts for the duration of the game are going to cost 1 more. If you target a Murloc, Murlocs will cost 1 more. If you target
so what
totems,
does it show you though?
Blah, blah, blah.
Does it show you like a list of different types?
No.
Or...
You have to target something. I mean, you played
okay.
against a beast deck, you'd be doing that. If you could play it preemptively, it might be too broken. That's the problem I had with it. Is
if you just name something.
Right, if you just name a certain type of tribe, I think that might be like a bit too good because you played preemptively, and Priest is more about being reactive. But what it does is, if you're playing off against Beast Druid or Hunter, which I suspect will gain a ton from the expansion, this is the type of stuff that as Priest you can use to slow them down and maybe buy yourself.
That is super disruptive. Oh my god!
I don't think it has the desired effect. I think if you want the game to not be about tempo, I think you need AoE so that people aren't incentivized to just jam everything out as fast as they can all the time. And I think, I think what this does is it's just like a hoser for tribal decks kind of thing. It's just like if they're playing a tribal deck, they get wrecked by this, and if they're not playing a tribal deck, this is a piece of garbage. And so I don't know.
It's very polarized. That's when I made the card. It was initially I didn't even think it was that good. It's just one additional way for, because I expect beast decks like demons and Zoo can just get fucking wrecked by this. It really sucks. Your Voidwalker's one. Your Imp is gonna be one. Any Flame Imp, the Malchadar's Imp, Doomguard, everything gets thrown completely off curve. Imp Gang Boss becomes 3. So actually negate demons and beasts super positively with this. It just becomes really bad against other metagames where it just does nothing. So it's really just a matter of targeting Zoo, targeting Druid, targeting Hunter. That's mostly what they do.
Yeah, it's basically a more selective but powerful Mana Wraith, right? And I do like that. I like the concept of slowing people down in that way, or just disrupting a deck and having that be essentially a way of countering instead of just having, just the archetypes just not match up. You actually have specific cards that actually ruin other
decks. I mean, anything can happen. Becomes slightly clunkier. Dragon decks become a bit worse. I mean, I don't know if I'd be happy to play an Imp Gang Boss for 4 mana against a Priest who has Shadow Madness lurking, or Cabal Shadow Priest later on. It's just really clunky to throw Voidwalker for 2 mana mid game. It's just bad. It's just bad.
Okay. So. Cool. Good stuff. And I think that's it for the Mekkatorques. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I think in the future, guys, we'll have some of maybe the patrons or maybe the subs for Value Town submit some too, because I know a lot of you guys tweet like new cards and things like that, and it'd be a good way for you guys to participate too, just on this segment. It's becoming a regular segment, so that's kind of why I'm saying it. But we have a Q&A next, guys. For those of you that want to ask your questions, go ahead and tweet me at ChanManV, and I'll try to get some out here. So it looks like Ventor has a question. Is Arcane Golem plus Cloaked Huntress good enough for a new Secret Hunter archetype?
Arcane Giant?
Arcane Giant, not Arcane Golem. Yeah. Arcane Giant plus Cloaked Huntress. Is that good for a Secret Hunter archetype?
Maybe. It's worth testing, right? Like, Yogg Hunter was a thing that was kind of like better than you would expect before, and those 2 cards might both fit in the deck. and they might play well together. So
Yeah,
I think it's
hard
definitely
to
worth
say.
looking into and testing.
Yeah, I think it would have to be like back to the control archetype, right? Because the one we saw at Firebat that was hyper aggressive, the issue with that deck is you just don't have anything that gets hard removed very often. So the Giants would be the only targets of hard removal. So what would happen is you'd have to have at least Call of the Wild and possibly even high mains in the list, which is fine. It's totally fine to build it like that.
I think it's best that way. Yeah.
Then you get Elec value, which is sick.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
You always find something out of your Alec. So I really like the concept of just giant in that Yogg deck, or that lock and load red deck. But it's kind of hard to slot everything in. It's already really
but like
tight.
like Zalae was saying earlier, having all those secrets in, it's so disruptive in those early turns. And a lot of times for Hunter, it's just a matter of getting to Call the Wild. Before it was like high main leading into whatever was it, right? Now it's just like, yeah, if you can just get to the Call the Wild turns, then you've got a good shot at just winning, no matter who you're playing against, or what you're playing against. And throwing on top of that an extra 2 giants somewhere in there, I think that's pretty good. Definitely pretty good. Okay, let's see if there's anybody in Twitch chat too. If you guys have a question, definitely ask it. So Ohio Rush Baby asks, this is kind of a no-brainer, but I'm just going to read it anyways. Is it Blizzard's ultimate responsibility to balance classes in Hearthstone? And if so, how? I mean, I guess the first question is, do they have to balance Priest? I would just put it in terms of Priest. Is it okay for
I think
Hearthstone...
they've come to the conclusion, no.
Yeah, but...
I don't think they want to balance it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think they're afraid of what, like, can you imagine having this casual, fun game to play on the fly, quick games with? If Priest becomes dominant and every single game you play is against this absolutely smothering class that never lets you win or doesn't win before turn 13, like, it's just that's probably the reason why they're building it the way they are. Until they give Priest like an aggro list, they won't be happy just making it good.
Yeah, I think they've kind of painted themselves into a corner where they've given Priest the identity of doing stuff that is not fun to play against, and they want Hearthstone to be fun to play, so they're making Priest bad so that people don't play against a stack that's not fun to play against.
Okay, so next question is this a good thing?
Well, I mean, I think that kind of dodges the big question, the overarching point, which is it like Hearthstone's responsibility to balance classes? Because it's not even that they didn't balance Priest. Is that if they want to make Priest as good as the other classes, I mean, they can do that, and it can have a playstyle that's a lot more aggressive, right? I'm not against them making Priest worse, like the control priest archetype worse. Yeah, I love the Shadow Bomber archetype. I don't mind like slow control priests being worse than control warrior, for instance. But
if we take a step back though, and we're talking about just really Priest, if you look at Hearthstone, just like the overall scope of it, Priest is extremely good in Wild. Like the N'Zoth Priest has always been one of the best. Like ever since WoW came out, N'Zoth Priest has been like one of the best.
It is the best
decks.
right now.
And I mean, I've had firesides that have been won by Priest decks basically, and so from the like the whole scope, like Priest is actually probably like is fine. Actually, it's being played, and I think it is powerful in some regards. It's just in standard, particularly in the competitive side of things, whether it's necessary to do it. For me, honestly, like. I feel like they should. Like I don't think you should make content that's supposed to be equal with the other aspects of your game and not have them in some capacity relevant to your game. Like if you want it funsies, I mean they have Tavern Brawl for funsies. You have elements of your game that are supposed to be meant for that. But if you're a designer, I think it's just I hate to put it this way, but I think it's just incorrect and in some ways lazy for you not to even try to fix it. Like redesign it. I think we'd be okay if you redesign Priest. Like I'd be okay with that. Actually,
I want to see Choose One being given. Like I don't.
Sure,
has any
give
of
him
you
a
two
Choose
tried
One.
the new Tavern
Give him
Brawl?
something like
Did any
that.
of you try?
Tavern Brawl? No, I was gonna play it actually.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's a mechanic in this Tavern Brawl which is interesting because Priest at some point there's a card they have which lets them choose between shadow and light. So we were talking last week about would be cool if priest's identity was to either be healing or shadow. You get to pick a side.
Right. No, I think that was a good
Instead
idea.
of it being druid with a
great
choose
idea.
one, blah blah blah. So it's not versatility. It's really just like a very strong twilight effect, right, between in the same class. Like the evil Anduin and the good Anduin in the same class, and they've developed that in their Tavern Brawl. I don't know if that's the way they're going with the class, but it would be good because that actually allows you to diversify the stuff that you make with the class instead of having to release one card for one specific archetype, but priest can abuse it in certain decks, and then it becomes like control priest being good is probably one of the worst nightmares of everyone. They don't realize it, but it's really, really feel bad, and it's also
God, I would love that.
Dude, sure, you'd farm the.
I would make you feel so bad.
Yeah, but imagine
Yes.
a world where like they have Entomb and they get another control tool that's good against you. It's toxic. So I don't know, man. It's one of those cases I think with Priest where going the Twilight Zone is good, and they could do that. So yeah, I'm okay with them not making every single card relevant that they print. It sucks. But
it's not about
whatever.
that. It's just about just making the class relevant, and we talked a little bit about it last week just with the video. It was very apparent that their release for this set had more to do with Priest just being a more casual class, and just pulling off silences on statues and things like that.
Herald
it's
Valash,
like
where
that's
Shadow
cool.
Caster
Like
exists, bro.
I'm cool with that. We see some of those cards with other classes too, but the whole thing is it's just priests have nice cards. A Priest of the Feast is a nice card too. It's just, we're just far from it being like a deck or a class that somebody plays in a high level. And I think, would it be difficult to do? Yeah, I think it would be difficult to like redesign it or add something major or take out something major. It might have to be something like taking out something major and replacing it, like maybe take out the whole steel element of the Priest,
like
right?
the only thing
and
they
just
have to
replace
do-
it with something unique to Priest. There's nothing about Priest right now that's that unique. Because, rogues steal stuff, too, from the other class. They don't steal other people's cards or copy them, but they steal something in a similar vein. So Priest, even healing, Paladin heals, it doesn't have, like, a very... just something that's it doesn't have an identity or an element or a mechanic that's that defines its identity.
Like, here's the issue with giving priests healing. It's Alchemy, it's obvious. In the alpha and beta, they had to change greater heal from being deal 2 damage. Heal for 2 based on your hand size. Like, each card is 2 health, and you could target the enemy hero, yada yada. So what they did is they added these versatile heals that could heal you or your minions. And incidentally, they allowed you to target enemy characters with those, as opposed to you only being able to heal friendly targets. So unless they make cards that literally heal your hero, think Reno style, think Twilight Darkmender that only restores health to yourself. Like, you can't Twilight Darkmender the enemy face with an Alchemy on board. You just can't. It'll automatically target you.
Right.
So they would have to push the self-healing as opposed to the target healing, or simply cut out Alchemy and make the Shadow literally a shadow theme. Like, Shadow Form is a standalone shadow card. Like, you don't turn your healing into shadow. It's just you're straight up dealing shadow damage.
Right.
You're like an evil priest. But right now what they've got is this Anduin that can do both at the same time at the cost of card slots and hop between both styles, which I think is kind of tough to balance.
Well, I think the problem is, like that you're stating there, is just that Anduin is a light. I mean, he's a light priest or a holy priest or whatnot, like by default.
Sure.
And then you have to change that with a card. Where it'd be nice if you could spec a shadow priest right from the get-go and be able to do that with the versatility in the cards. And that's why I think your idea there is actually really, really good. Like, every single heal card should have the ability to it's like almost a choose one, right? You choose damage or you choose heal. Like, it gives the flexibility in that regard, and Blizzard would allow for that. So I don't know. I mean, we've had Priest has just been a huge topic, just for the last 3 or 4 weeks or whatnot. And I think everybody's kind of talked ad nauseum about it. So kind of leave it there for now. But I would like them to take more risks with Priest. That's all I'm saying. Just take more risks.
Sure.
I think we'd be fine. I think the casual players would be fine too. Like, if you took more risks with it, and it would
just do something.
Yeah, it would mean a lot if they just change something. Just like, it's
Priest
okay.
of the Fist.
It's okay if you made a mistake and you want to
play.
change something. It's really okay.
I mean, the thing is, Shadow Fiend actually got me hopeful that they knew what they were doing with Priest.
Yeah, actually, that card
When
is.
I saw that card in the Grand Tournament, I was like, all right, dude, they want us to play Velen combo, or they want us to be like a Mind Blast combo deck. They fucking figured it out, and they're going to be supporting that archetype for a long time. Never fucking mind, dude. Like, just no. Supporting that art, that playstyle just didn't sit with them. I'm also not sure why Shadow Form is 3. Like, I feel like at 2 mana, it's already bad. Like, I don't know about 3 mana.
I want to. Shadow Priest is such a cool idea, right? It takes Priest, moves in a new, interesting direction that's more in line with the rest of Hearthstone. Shadow Forms, Shadow Priest. It's a natural direction to move Priest.
Yeah,
I like it.
Let's see. Okay, so Vetrix2451 in chat actually he asked an interesting question about Witch Doctor. Is the Witch Doctor kind of a confession for Tuskar being a mistake?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. It summons a basic totem.
Yeah.
It literally,
right.
Blizzard literally
I see what you mean.
knows that Tuskar Totemic is a joke. But
Well, Tuskar Totemic was a mistake, and but it is true.
it is a confession, right? Like, they know it.
They know it. I don't think, like, if you look at the logics of it, it doesn't necessarily have to be the case that is how things are, but it is how things are. Like,
but
they definitely made it this way because they're like, oh, this Tuskar is too good. We need to fix this. They did do that.
But again, if Tuskar's a mistake, just change Tuskar. You know
no, I mean? You can't do that, dude.
What
if someone like actually crafted a common or found an attack? You might just fucking confuse them to death.
Just give them full.
Like, are you insane? Are you ChanManV? Have you ever game designed in your life? Like, changing a common card in a 4 expansion old set? Are you fucking
You need to calm down, sir.
Yeah, you might need to. Wow.
We'll have to escort you out of the building, sir.
I'm done.
All right, Jitty asks, thoughts on the resurgence of anything N'Zoth Pally due to Ivory Knight? Is there any merit in a combo of the 2 cores? Can you combine?
There has to be some merit, right? Because Zixo played it at prelims, and he's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is.
I played some Ivory Knight, and I got to say, I was not impressed. He was about as bad as I thought. I thought those Paladin spells were pretty terrible.
Really?
Like,
I thought it was okay.
Anything that says Discover is really easy to underestimate, right? 6 mana, 4/4, heal a little bit, Discover. Like, these are all good things, but it also gives away information. And man, there's a lot of really bad Paladin spells. So,
lots of one mana spells.
It could be anything from like humility all the way up to the which is
Blessings.
Awesome. All the like crappy competitive spirit. Like, I had one be like Divine Strength, Eye for an Eye, and Hand of Protection, and I was just like, okay, this even in the deck where it's the best at, it still just completely sucked. But I think like the occasional Enter the Colosseum, Solemn Vigil is like.
The fact that they see the heal amount is like a big deal. Like, they get a good idea of what you're drawing. They can use that information.
That's true.
Like, 2, that might be an equality, right?
Right.
If you snap pick it, they know it's an equality. If you don't snap pick it, they're like, this, like the discovery cards, the Light and Darkness.
Yeah.
Maybe Holy Light, like some janky choice you have to make. So
but at the same time, they do get a lot of information, but it is an extra card in your deck. So I mean, they already know your deck. So, normally there's nothing secret. There's still at least an element of surprise, even if it is limited to like only 4 or 5 cards. But
getting the 3rd, 4th anything, that feels pretty good.
That is
against the control deck.
Yeah,
it's like, good luck, Control Warrior.
Health,
right.
If you're 30 health, you can actually not show. It's the important like near.
Yeah, if you just gotta waste the heal so they don't get information.
If you're like 28, I'd say 27 is probably an okay moment to start, because most of your spells, like half of them will be like higher. It's like 27 health, you'll be good to go.
Yeah. But anything in N'Zoth, it looked pretty good this past weekend. Like when they were running it. So I think you'll see a little bit more of it. Maybe even this weekend. You gonna be running any kind of Pally?
Who knows? I know it was very popular at DreamHack Montreal.
Yeah.
Which again doesn't represent much because it was an open tournament, but the idea is that people tried it out quite a bit. But I like the idea of Ivory Knight. It's just that when I look at this card and I look at like Challenger, I wonder if the same dude designed both, because it's like one is just purely sick in stats, the other one's just might work. might not. Who fucking knows? And I feel like Ivory Knight could have discovered a spell from your deck instead, so you're limiting the range of bullshit that you're gonna land, and then actually you might make some.
If
decks
that
just
discovered a spell
really,
from your
really
deck,
good.
it'd be so good.
Yeah, it would be really good.
Yeah,
like you
get
could
lay
actually
on-
tweak
lay
it down
hands
to a
or-
Oh
3/3
my
at that
god,
point.
would
But
that be a strong
the idea
card?
is you actually bring back a heal bot for paladins, and they get a new archetype. It's just I feel like that would make it just.
That would have been better. Yeah.
You wouldn't go for Forbidden Healing. You're probably not super happy about it, but when you're safe, it might be okay. It's just one of those things that
You can
it's a
control
great-
it, though.
I love the
Yeah.
mechanic of the discovery, but I also at the same time wish it weren't so.
Yeah.
I think discovering a card from your deck is like a super dangerous mechanic.
It's disgustingly powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Last question. Lots of other questions, but unfortunately, we don't running out of time here. Bado HSS, is Blizzard trying to force Discard Warlock into existence to shake up the staple of Zoo?
Yes.
It's an impossible task, though.
Is it? No, I think Zoo
Really?
could very easily be just
Really?
discard after 4 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that
After
could be the staple
imp comes in, it just comes in as like I think it becomes a standard list because Peddler makes up for. a lot
Imp
of
is
bullshit,
like
right?
for sure.
Yeah,
in
Imp
standard
for
Zoo,
sure,
right?
Be in standard. Yeah.
And then does Silverware Golem make it in there too? I don't know how much more stuff makes it in, but it seems like you're definitely playing like Imp and Doomguard and
Yeah, you're playing those. I guess a staple meaning.
and then
just the
once you
exact
that
deck.
far, maybe Silverware Golem's in there and
Yeah.
like I don't know.
And then Fist of Firaxis, and then suck your.
Nah.
I mean,
I don't
the
know
idea
about
I'm gonna
this.
try that, but I'm
I don't know
skeptical
about
of those.
this. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, but the general idea is just Doomguard being already played in that deck is just good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like we look at Doomguard and we don't see a discard Warlock card, but it is.
Oh, it totally is.
It happens to
I've
be
coined
insane.
Doomguarded. It's good. Discard 2
that's-
Silverware Golems. I got a nice little tweet
Dude, it's
about
game
that.
That's
over.
disgusting,
It's
bro. Like-
literally game over.
Dude got smashed.
Yeah.
He didn't
that's
have
kind of
brawl
the
and he
point, right?
died.
It's still that's kind of the problem with the discard Warlock is Doomguard's really good, so you're not changing shit about that being included in Zoo.
Yep.
And Soulfire's still okay,
Yep.
and it's still good, so you're really not changing that much. So all you're giving them is the ability to sometimes make those awkward turns better. Plus, you also give them another 1-mana demon, 1/3. Like,
Yeah,
you
this
almost
is-
couldn't make a better card for their discard mechanics. It's really
Yeah.
well implemented.
Speaking of which, that guy's not just for discard mechanics. He's also for demons
Yeah.
because of how he curves into that 2-mana card that either deals 2 damage to an enemy minion or gives +2/+2
Demon
to a friendly demon.
Right.
Yeah, Demon Fire is that what it's called? Yeah, so now you have Flame Imp and Voidwalker and this other 3 on turn 1.
Six dudes,
You
man.
play one of those guys on turn 1, they play some dude, you give it your guy +2/+2 and value trade into their guy. It's actually a very strong play.
Yeah.
So
And
going from
before-
4 1-mana demons to 6 is a big deal because
So
of Demon
you put
Fire.
8 1-drop demons, so you put the Blood Imps back in
This
because
is
you can. Then you smash
Insane,
double
dude.
demon
It's just
fuse,
insane.
double demon fire, double Wrathguard, and you just curve. Like your highest card is Imp Gang Boss, or maybe Doomguard. Let's go with
I
Doomguard.
probably
Wow,
Doomguard.
We'll probably go with Doomguard.
Yeah, it's
like the
gotta be
idea is like
Doomguard.
you're
Come
playing
on.
literally all the jank, and you're smashing double demon fuse, double demon fire. The fact that
Demon
Fire can be
Fuse.
used as a dude, who cares, right? Who cares?
I mean, I care.
Dude,
Oh,
we'll
but-
put in even Felguard to just make it even worse, right?
Oh yeah, just troll ourselves.
Who can click on
Nice
life
deck
tap the
doctor
most?
submission right there.
We'll see what the record for life taps are in a.
But
Demon
I
Fire is
also
really
like-
good on Imp Gang Boss too, like because you get more value trades, more ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really sick.
Yeah. So yeah,
I don't know,
guess
man.
the
Demon
answer
Fire is
is-
good.
Yeah, I guess we are gonna be seeing those things kind of integrated into Zoo, but it's gonna make Zeus even more powerful, which is
Yeah,
kind of
that's
scary. Yeah,
Well,
Zeus.
I
needs
got-
to be bad.
I hope Silverware Golem is consensus bad after the month because
Me too.
it feels bad RNG like Barnes.
Yep.
It's just not. So please no.
I hate it. I hate that. I hate.
I mean, you
I'm
hate
excited to play with
But is
it, but I'm
be
not gonna.
played? I mean, it's still.
I'm
gonna be
excited to
played.
play with it in a month, but I'm terrified of playing with it in 3 months. Put it
Yeah.
that way,
Yeah.
right? I want to do this for like a week, and then not again.
Be like it's just Draxus again. I mean, the day that they give us say 6 cards like Fist of Draxus and Silverware and another one that gets put in, when that happens, suddenly I think discard Warlock with like all the jank, the discard stuff is suddenly something you might want to put in because then the amount of redundancy you've got on like awkward hands. Oh, just discard everything, still win.
Yeah.
Because really consistent.
I'm scared that we're there. I think we might be. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna
hope we're
try it
not.
out.
Sense Demons is a card that like I wish was more played. One card as well that we
Well,
just haven't seen in like at all is Dark Bargain. You know, nobody really thinks of this card
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Bargain. Oh no.
No,
I don't
like
know.
you kill 2 things, you discard 2. If all you've
But
got
for them
is,
to
like,
have 2
Civil
things,
War,
either they're playing 2
that's
things in
a
one
little-
turn.
That's a little
The thing,
much,
okay,
man.
it's a super powerful card. You're right, right? Like in the right circumstances, it's obscene.
It is in the
But
right
they have to have 2 things. So either they're playing 2 things in one turn, in which case they're not that big, or they played a big thing the previous turn and I failed to kill it, which feels really bad, right? Like you want to clear your opponent's board every turn of most Hearthstone games with most decks. Like that's just how it goes. If they play something big and you ignore it, and then they play something big and then you blow them out, it's like that's not really how games tend to play out.
Yeah. I feel like Dark Bargain should have been discard, like destroy 2 things, discard 1 card. Because I feel like 2 cards, like discard 1 card. I think Reno Lock might be like, yeah, sure, I'll put it as another Siphon Soul. But when you discard 2 cards, it's like, well,
like, man,
good job, bro.
I
Like,
need
you
those.
got,
Like equal
you got
value
the
from
board.
both
I
sides.
pay mana for this crap. I'm
Yeah.
paying mana for this. I can't even justify it. Like, it's tough.
I'm just waiting for the day Cho'Gall is played.
I'm
Oh,
really
yes.
bro.
He's just
card
been
would be
sitting
so
there
sick.
collecting dust, man. It's like
No,
so-
I played him. I actually played him in a competitive.
What? When?
Well, again, in a Monsters World. It was a wild format. I jammed him in my deck.
Right.
100% win rate. I'm just saying. Thanks, Joe Gall. Shout out to my boy.
Nice.
Shogal
My
is
boys.
actually a really good. You know, the next card you might do for discard, I think, is going to be something like when this gets discarded, restore X health to your hero. I think that's what's going to happen because at this point, what we're missing is like they can't let you get another dude on the board because that would be broken. They can't really deal more damage. Fist of Draxus does that. If they make you draw cards, then what's the point? So it's kind of like restore health to your guy, which is kind of what Warlock also wants. So that might be the next one, and then Shogal with discard mechanics becomes super fun because you pay health like for Dark Bargain, and you probably get it back out of whatever effect you discard. So that's the kind of
Crazy.
shit that I want to see one day. That's kind of it.
Oh man, that'd be pretty crazy, janky. All right, well that's gonna be it for the show, guys. Definitely good stuff, man. Good talks today. Thanks for all the questions, everybody out there that tweeted or wrote in Twitch chat. But let's do some shout outs. Zalae, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. And also on Twitter, I guess you can see it right there at LG_Zalae.
Awesome. And watch him this weekend too at the NA prelims. Are you gonna be playing from home or? I know.
No, you got to travel.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
going out to California.
Oh, you're going to California.
Short
Okay.
flight.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Very, very nice.
stuff.
Good luck there, man. Hope to see you qualify. I forget how many people get through in the prelims. It's
Well, it goes to the top 8, and then one person from this event goes to BlizzCon.
right. Okay, cool. That's gonna be good stuff.
Good luck.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck. Play a new card, dude. Play a new card.
I'm so sorry.
Noxious, where can people find you?
On YouTube, Noxious JLHF, Twitch, Noxious_HS, and shout out to Complexity just for being awesome. At this point, I think the roster is doing pretty well. Train did pretty amazing recently.
Yeah, you did.
Pretty hyped for that.
It's always good. And for me, just shout out to you guys, to both of you guys for doing the show with me. Obviously, big shout out to Tempo Storm for sponsoring the show and all their sponsors too. Actually, the Curse is now Twitch, so it's kind of like, I guess they're keeping the
still
same brand.
independent-ish
They're still
in the way
independent,
they
but,
work out,
Yeah,
but,
congrats to Kurtz, or at least for having Twitch obviously buy them out. That's really, really awesome for them. But you can find the VODs for this on YouTube. Same as usual, youtube.com/ChanManV, probably later on tonight. The audios will be on iTunes and Google Podcasts and Stitcher and Pocket Casts and all that good stuff. That's going to be usually in the morning. Like sometimes it's like really quick, but for sure, it's going to be, a good 12 hours from whenever I post it on iTunes. So definitely check that out. And did I forget anything else? I seem to always forget something. I'm shouting. I think that's it. For this week. So for Value Town, or actually for Zalae, Noxious and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week. Later.
See ya.